Actually, so on that point, you will go exponentially go awry. Exponentially, right? If you lose 10 points on $1 million versus buddy losing 10 points on $10,000, the guy that lost 10 points on $1 million, you're in trouble. Like, hello, bankruptcy. The other guy's like, I need to get a loan from somebody. Right? Until right now, this very moment, contractors have always been on their own, not as tradespeople, but being alone and knowing how to take their business to the next level. They call us working class, they call us blue collar. They say that we don't have the smarts to become the business owner that we're meant to be. That is such bullshit. You have the ability. You're more than any of that. The question really is, where do you get the insights that you need specific to contracting to systemize your business so you can get your profits to pay for your freedom? I'm Andrew Houston. I'm going to show you how to make more profits, how to get more control, how to get more freedom in the simplest, quickest way possible without any of that bullshit. Welcome to the No Bullshit Podcast for Contractors. Listen up, level up, and if you learn something, like the video, subscribe to the channel, change your business, change your life. All right, everybody, welcome to another No Bullshit podcast here at Profit for Contractors. I'm your host, Andrew Houston, founder and CEO of Profit for Contractors. I'm here with a couple of rockstar champion CEOs. And when I say champion CEOs, these are people that are on the journey to having a better business and a better life. I've got Kyle, I got Jen. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and what they do. And really what this podcast is about today is bringing success stories to you guys. When I say it's a no bullshit podcast, let's start off with something that's no bullshit, which is they don't have it perfect. I don't have it perfect. We're all on a continual journey to improve our business, make more profits, get more freedom, live the lifestyle we want. So enough of me yapping, I'm going to hand it over to Jen and Kyle. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing good. Fantastic.
Awesome. Where are you guys located? Tell the audience a little bit about yourselves on the personal front, on the business front. And then let's get into some of the strategies and tactics under the hood that's allowed you guys to have some great success, which we're going to touch on as well.
We live in Pagosa Springs, Colorado, so a little tiny mountain town in southwest Colorado. And we own a general construction business called Colorado Specialty Contracting. And you can tell about our business.
We do anything from dirt work to roofing. We have subcontractors for electrical and plumbing, sheetrock insulation, spray foam. We do all the framing and that kind of stuff in-house. We do all the excavation in-house. We do all the finished carpentry, all that kind of stuff in-house.
Awesome,
man. Currently have three-man crews. And we have a project supervisor / foreman, and we have a secondary foreman / project manager. They basically deal with the day-to-day stuff and make sure everything keeps moving and help me put out fires.
Awesome, man. So let's talk a little bit about, at a high level perspective, one of the things I always like to touch on is it's great to talk about the roses. It's great to talk about, what fertilizer we put on the roses to make them all nice and smelling great, to improve the business and what have you. I know you guys have improved your profits dramatically. You guys have improved a lot of things, gotten out of a lot of chaos and what have you. But let's talk about where you guys were. So you guys have been part of the Profit for Contractors family for how long now?
Since October of last year.
Right. So when you look at it, how long have you been in business?
Since 2016, beginning of 2016.
Right. So as a whole, it's a very small from a timeline perspective, part of your journey, correct? Like if you look at it as I don't know, let's not get too mathematical here, but a small percentage, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, why am I bringing that up? Do you know?
Because it took us, a really fraction of an amount of time to grow, considering what we were doing, taking years to do anything big.
You nailed it. Okay. I don't think I've ever used that analogy before. I don't know, Kyle, have you heard me ever use that analogy before?
I haven't. No.
No, I haven't either. So, by the way, guys, this is a part of the No Bullshit podcast. This is not like scripted, and I don't know exactly what these guys are going to say. I've got a gauge of what progress they've made. I've got a gauge of things that they've worked on, but I want to make a point here to everybody. Okay, everybody listening in. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm contradicting what I'm saying. Okay, so just be clear. There is no magic wand. Okay? Is there a way to, and I'm going to get your opinion of what that means in a second, but is there a way to accelerate your ability to improve your business in a much shorter period of time versus how much time you put into the business prior to, getting this kind of help? And the answer is, guys, what?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
And it's the magic wand is the work. It's putting in the work and doing the work.
That's right. The wand actually on it has like engraved. Put your camera up to that sign that I liked. It says kitchen. Right. So instead of it saying kitchen, it says it's a big wand and it says hard work. Right.
It says get shit done.
Right. Get shit done, but it's get the right shit done.
Yeah. Well, that's
okay.
Put in the right procedures and systems to make life easier.
Right. Now, let's be honest, okay? Let's just highlight, and we'll get a little bit deeper into some of the details of these things, but let's go back prior to you guys being part of this family, okay? And everybody listening in, this isn't a bloody sales pitch, okay? I'll be straight up with you. What I'm hoping that you realize is that one of the number one principles, okay, that you guys realize, listening in, is get out of your fucking own way of not getting help by people that can truly help you. Because doing it on your own, like even me, it took me 9 years, probably 8.5 years of absolute hell for the year and a half that things turned around, like completely crazy. So let's talk about some of the challenges. Prior to October, prior to that, like whatever period of time you want to touch on, what were some of the like really hardships, some of the struggles that you guys had as a couple, as business owners?
We were doing a very large project, commercial project, and we didn't have the appropriate
should start at the beginning.
Processes in place to be able to track job costs and that kind of stuff. We still came out ahead in the end, but not nearly ahead as what we should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kyle didn't tell you how we started. We're two paramedics, so we moved to Pagosa Springs as a paramedic team. And Kyle has some construction in his history before my arrival. And so we came here and he got tired of being a paramedic because it's, we don't get paid enough and we have to work long shifts and whatever. So he decided he was going to start a construction business here. Well, he pulled me right out of the city and said, we're going to do construction. We need to buy a tractor. And I said, for what? And he said, to dig holes. And I was like, well, I can get you a thing to dig holes with. It costs like $26 and it has the nice grippy padding on the top and it definitely can get the hole dug. Didn't understand, have any clue what he was talking about. Doing excavation is what he was trying to get going there.
And you're handing him a little shovel.
Yeah, I got him a shovel. I got him a nice shovel with the grippy stuff on the top so you don't have to have as many blisters. I don't know what digging a hole is about. Why do you need I don't know. I grew up in the city. I don't know about excavation. And I know that a tractor is $80,000 and that's expensive versus this like $25 shovel. So that's where we started, 2016. So we started kind of a one-man band, Kyle, and bought a trailer, and then he filled it up full of tools, kind of outfitted it, filled it up full of tools, and just started doing kind of odds and end random jobs. As we had some more jobs to do, we got a friend to come help us who worked for the fire department. So we were kind of in the same, mindset, schedule. And then we sort of started to grow from there. So the job that he's referring to was a huge job for our little 3-man band. And we were initially told at first it's for a local timeshare here, replacing 56 sets of decks. They're up in the air. and warped and crazy and gonna fall down. And we were actually told, you're too small. You are not on our corporate list. You don't have all these corporate things. You don't have enough, equity and cash flow. Sorry, you're not even eligible to apply for this job. Well, because we had done a fair amount of work for them before, smaller scale work for them before, they kind of rationed us, or kind of gave us a, I don't know, good old boy, you've done a lot of work for us and you're local, so we'll just give you a little, we'll just be nice to you.
Yeah.
And so they gave us 1 year to complete 5 units, which has a deck on the front and a deck on the back and a landing and some stairs. 5 units, they gave us 1 year to complete them. Well, we had our units completed in 2 months, 3 months, maybe?
When we say that, it was complete demo all the way to the wall framing of the unit and repouring all the piers, everything, from start to finish.
They also hired 3 corporate contractors, big corporate companies out of Florida and Georgia and somewhere on the East Coast, huge, big, multi-million-dollar companies. Well, their contractors never showed up. They're we don't know how to do things in the mountains. One of them came and it was snowing. You guys work in snow? Well, yeah, it snows here in the mountains. And so none of their contractors ever showed up. So we inherited, because we did our 5, they've all passed inspection, we did them quickly, we inherited the rest of them. So we were, from a team point of view and a structure point of view, vastly unprepared. Thankfully, Kyle did a good job bidding, and our team did a decent job building efficiently, and, we just kind of had good luck.
Actually, when PFC was the last time we were on the project.
So let's go back to. So that's awesome. Okay, what a great story, and it gives you a bit of a foundation where you guys came from. So let's go back to some of the challenges, right? So if you look at how much stuff was in your heads,
a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was in Kyle's head, and nobody else knew any of the other things, because he, I don't do construction, so even if you say it to me, I don't know what it means.
Right.
And then we didn't have really a lot of skilled experience at the time, so telling them was useless also. So it was mostly, it's still somewhat that way. He's better about writing it down or having a plan, and now we have two guys that help with that now, but probably I would say 98% of the plan was in Kyle's brains.
So when you think about that, Kyle, imagine it's you listening in on this podcast, right? Somebody's like, yeah, man, I can keep it all in my head. So what are some of the challenges when it comes to keeping all that in your head, and some of the communication that gets dropped or lost or miscommunicated with your team members?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a trying time to try and correlate and relay all the information that's stuck up here that isn't on anything. And it's also difficult for her, because she can't keep track of anything on a job if she doesn't know what material is actually going to the job and what's actually required. And then the other simple fact of where we live, most of all of our material comes from Canada. So we have to wait for trucking to get it here.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't understand that until all this COVID pricing and everything happened, that a lot of our stuff comes from Canada. And I mean, I was ordering, towards the end of the project, I was ordering material in June, and it was showing up in August. So pre-planning, making sure you have the appropriate amount of material to keep everybody moving and all of that kind of stuff was very important.
So one of the things that go ahead.
I was going to say, to add to that, about information in Kyle's brain that's not really, accessible for anybody else, is that he assumes that we all know, because it's obvious. I know that, so why don't you know that? Right. Well, where the hell am I supposed to find that? And so that was something, I don't know how I'm supposed to keep track of things that I can't tangibly find. And then on our job site, how are those guys supposed to keep track of what's coming to them when they don't know? Because you know, and you assume that we know, but we don't.
So you think about this from the perspective of, just to put things into, because a lot of people, when they listen to these podcasts, sometimes a shift happens, an aha moment happens, okay? So I use the analogy of this as if you're listening in, picture whether you're a husband or a wife or whatever your engagement is, but picture that you're about to go to the corner store and somebody gives you a list of 25 things. Not only is there 25 things you got to remember, you can't write it down, right? And you have to remember it without writing it down for like the next 24 hours. And then there's items on there that, say there's half the items or even a quarter of the items that you don't even know what they are. Like, think about your success rate of going to a place, going to the grocery store, and what's the odds of you screwing that up? What's the odds of you forgetting something? What's the odds of you getting the wrong thing? It's massive. And that's going to the bloody grocery store. And it's on a job site, 25 things is nothing. You're dealing with hundreds of things that have to be ordered, like thousands of things that have to be communicated. And so, we as tradespeople, especially people like you, Kyle, and even myself, that are the sort of the skilled trade person, we don't realize what we know, and we don't realize how difficult it is for other people to, remember these things. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I totally agree with that. And my biggest slogan that I have that I tell all my guys basically on the daily basis is I know 10% of a whole lot of stuff. I don't know 100% anything. And there's a lot of my guys on the crew know a lot more stuff than I do about specific tasks, and not bringing them in on those specific jobs, tasks, or even quoting jobs. I don't understand the scope that we're actually getting involved in until I bring them in and they explain it to me. Right. And yeah, I'm the owner, I'm the boss, she's the main boss, but when it all comes down to it, we're a team, and it needs to be spanned across everybody so that everybody has a clear understanding of what we're getting ourselves into. Totally.
Now, one of the things you guys mentioned, certainly just the pre-bullets of this podcast, was that you didn't realize how many things you were missing until you came to Profit for Contractors, and then you started to realize how important structure was and what does that mean and things of that nature. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Well, we didn't track time, for instance, like labor on our big job. Basically, we had a paper time card, and our guys said, I was here from 8. They were, and they're kind of all in the same place at the same time, and they're doing relatively the same thing, and generally speaking they are there from 8 to 5, but we couldn't have said quickly how much labor did you put into this job. We couldn't really still say that now for that particular job. How much labor did you put in to date? Well, I don't know. Right. I have 3,000 time cards I could go add up for you, and so we didn't have any ability to track labor properly. And granted, we were, kind of all in one place, so that made it more in our favor. But we didn't track labor. We did not track materials. We really didn't do any tracking. None. No systems for tracking. No systems for inventory. Granted, we don't store inventory. We don't have any, we don't really store anything. We don't have merchandise or any of that kind of stuff to really keep track of. But, things that showed up on a job site, we didn't track or, track the cost of them or return them or whatever. We just...
So I'm going to ask you a question. I've never asked this question. I don't think so. I don't know what's happening today, but it's cool. It's just things that, well, this is what it's about, right? Like, we might have some bullets going into this podcast, but I find that's enough. I don't like prepping that much, otherwise the magic gets lost, right? So let me ask this question, both of you, and I'm not expecting you to have an answer, okay? But you came to Profit for Contractors. You started going to some of the group training. You started getting coached, right? You started getting coached by coaches and people that are in the trades and people that use the systems that I created or systems that they've brought to PFs. Anyways, all the rest of that stuff. If you think about how long you've been in business, Okay. Why do you think, so reflect on yourself and your own business, but as a whole, most contractors that come to us, they don't track. They don't have systems. They don't have policies, okay? So they're not tracking the hours. They're not tracking the material. They're not tracking those things. Why do you think that is? Like, what do you think is the reason that so many, like I'm talking like 80 to 90%, like even just tracking hours and material and what have you. What do you think is the reason that contractors, inclusive of yourself, don't do that?
Because you're not taught to.
Not taught to, and also it's more of a strenuous task when you're not used to doing it.
Aha.
If you actually did it, so I look at PFC right now as if it would have been a lot simpler and a lot easier to implement the policies and the procedures and the systems when the company was brand new going forward than trying to implement them mid-stroke in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And
why do you think that is?
I think more so in my world because like doing cost sheets and that kind of stuff. I mean, I do a bid sheet and I do my notes and all of that kind of stuff. But doing the cost sheet, now that I've done it 100, 200 times.
No, hold on. Before you say now that you've done it. I'm talking about what's the I'm waiting to hear it. What's the reason, Kyle?
When you...
Sorry.
Well, you said you wish you had would have been a lot easier doing it in the beginning, right? And you said, and you said, filling this stuff out is, it's not like what?
It's more, to me, when we first started it was more time consuming than what I felt that it should be, and it was something different to me.
Yes. Okay.
But as you've said before, you have to get out of your comfort zone.
Pick me.
What? Where? Who? Oh, Jen. Hey.
Here's the thing. You don't learn to run a business in school. If you go to high school, middle school, you don't learn to run a business. You don't learn how to do math, and you don't learn how to do your taxes and write checks, etc. So you don't learn that organization. So unless somebody teaches it to you, it is not for most people second nature to do. Like totally. Kyle will never volunteer to use an Excel spreadsheet. Never. Not even now, after he has some experience and can figure it out. Still right now, this minute, Excel, anything is my job because it's not happening. So to answer your question, and Kyle's a little bit jumbly brain thought there.
No, he's doing it. It's awesome. He's nailing it. Go for it.
That it would have been better to establish, in my opinion, when our business was young and small, is because the scope of the job was small. And so therefore doing a cost sheet is easier. But if you establish that routine and habit when you're small, it's easy to do when you're big because it's habit, it's routine. And then as you gain employees, you teach that to them, and this is our process, and this is what we do, and it's established. Instead, what we did was not do that. And now we have a group of 10 guys and big jobs and multiple jobs going on at the same time. And we say, you're going to use a time clock. And they say, why? We always used a paper one. You're going to keep track of your materials. And they're like, why? That's not how we always do it. Well, this is how we're doing it now. So you can either get on board or move on. But if that would have been established when they arrived, it would be easier and more smooth.
Right. So the reality is that there's lots of reasons, okay? There's lots of reasons. For everybody listening in, there's going to be one thing, a couple of things, 2 or 3 things. We talked about, being aware, right? Just being aware of it. Some people, they don't have an awareness of it. And it's not just an awareness. I mean, even if they have an awareness, are they doing it properly? Right? Like, that's almost just as bad as not doing it, okay? Because they're the way that they're interpreting things, it's like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it right. Meanwhile, they're driving their business into the ground versus the person that doesn't know, right? Okay? It's a lot easier to change that person, just to let everybody listening in, than the person. And I've dealt with guys with master's degrees. Oh, I love those guys. Like, I learned all this stuff in school. You did. Yes, I know this stuff. Why the hell do we have this? Well, I'll ask you one question. What's your break-even margin? My what? Exactly. They're like, I'm like, what's the difference between margin and markup? I'm like, but I thought you had a master's degree. I thought you knew all this shit. Like, so show me your policies for this. I don't have a policy for this, but you have a master's degree, dude. So even the people that do have the knowledge, okay? So don't always apply it. So I think one of the things that just to highlight here is, for a lot of you guys listening, Kyle said something that's pretty powerful, and so did you, Jen. Okay? You guys both did. But I got to highlight this one thing. Kyle and Andrew Houston on this call will probably, if to this day, even though I'm not running a contracting business, right? We got some of our coaches still running contracting businesses. Even to this day, even though I'm not running contracting business, if you said to me, Andrew, I got this really exciting job for you to check out, or Kyle's doing this really exciting job, do you want to go check it out with him and just see what it's like, even though it's not your business? I'd be like, fuck, right on, man, let's go. Because that's what we do, right, Kyle? Versus, yep. Okay, you guys have a choice. You can look at this nice, cool spreadsheet and we go through these numbers, or you can look at this cool job. Which one are we going to go to, Kyle?
The job.
Yeah. So everybody listening in.
The job all day, every day.
Right. The problem is that at the end of the day, you've got to do shit, even if you don't want to do it.
Yep.
True, Jen?
Yeah. Well, you made a point that actually, I think, initiated our call to you, which was Kyle was like, I know that this business can be fruitful. Like, it's going to grow real quick or it's going to fall down. Like, we're going to fall right off the side of the mountain and crash, or we're going to grow real quick, but we can't do it like this. And I was like, I'm working somewhere else, busy, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know. I just do the books. Like, not as involved as, was necessary or needed or, desired, I guess would be the word. So I think when you said it, like, I know that I don't know something. And our business is like, something has to change because either I'm going to have a stroke or we're going to crash. And I don't want to do either of those things, but I don't know what to do.
Yes.
So that's what prompted a call to you.
Oh, yep. And we're still in the transition phase from going from a little company to a larger company. And it's in that transition phase. I've had multiple older guys with more experience in running companies and that kind of stuff. They flat out told me, they're all, if you're going to go big, you have to go big. If you're going to go halfway, you're going to fail. They flat out have explained it and shown it to me, and I've seen it in my own eyes. And I've seen multiple companies that had 40, 50 plus employees drop all the way back down to two-man band, a one-man band. Because as they try to go, they have so much headache and so much overage and overhead and everything else that they don't manage it appropriately. And I've heard it through PFC several times. You can go broke going big, easily. You can go broke without even knowing, and you're super busy.
Totally. Now, you guys do know, if you've listened to these podcasts, that sometimes we have one of you guys, somebody will say something, and it's like a drug for me, and I can't resist but commenting, right? Mm-hmm. True? Okay. Yep. So that means, so everybody listening in, I think we've got a lot of comments from people like, oh, Andrew, I like when you do a coaching, session or whatever. So I just have to, I don't know if this could become a coaching session, but I can't resist. I wouldn't be authentic Andrew Houston Prof for Contractors if I didn't respond to what you just said, Kyle. Okay? So, Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
You ready? Okay. Drum roll. I call bullshit. Okay? Okay? I don't know. So let me just call bullshit. Okay? What do I mean by that? Okay. Up to a certain size, and I mean pretty small. Okay? I'm talking like to be profitable in the contracting business, and I can pick almost any business. I can pick any trades business, okay? But to be profitable, and I'm talking about your own employees, you need about and to have it so that you're able to make money, make maybe $100,000 a year. Okay, I'm not saying this you're fucking killing it. I'm not saying you're making millions in your pocket, but to make $100,000 in your pocket a year, no matter what trade you can bring to me, you need roughly 5 to 6 people. Okay, you need an office person. Okay, and if you guys, anybody wants to get more help on this, you can join the Contractor Tips group or just reach out to us to get some help or what have you. You're like, what the hell, Andrew? What were you talking about, Andrew? Okay, there's a model. Okay, and when I look at this, after that point, Kyle, let's just call it the 6-person team. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, got a couple of crews out there, got an admin person, got an estimator, we got the freaking owner, okay? Now, yes, the owner's going to have to wear a couple of hats, not a ton, but he's going to have to wear a couple of different hats, okay? So that's the reality situation. You can be fairly profitable, okay? You can, not crazy, but again, $100,000 in the bank and all the rest of that kind of stuff. From that point forward, and here's where I call bullshit. If you have the right structure and policies in place, every step in the journey along that pathway, from the 6-person to the 10 to the 20 to the 30 to the 50 to 100 to 150, okay, should be profitable, otherwise known as scalable. Now, if you're based upon your economy and your environment can only handle a certain amount of business, okay? Like, let's just face it, some person in New York City versus some person out in no man's land in the desert, there's only so much business, that can handle, right? The market can bear. Make sense? Okay?
Yep.
But if you take that into consideration, which is all part of scaling, I don't believe that you have to go big or go small. I believe that you have to be profitable.
Yeah.
And if do you agree? You see what I'm saying? So some big boy comes to me, dude, I've coached fucking 500-person contracting companies. I've coached fucking 2-person, okay? The principles are the same fucking thing. So if some guy says to me, and I'm not trying to disrespect those bigger guys that are giving you advice. Yeah. I'm not saying that some of it's not good advice. I'm just saying if some guy comes to me and goes, Andrew, you should be telling your clients they either go big or go small. I'm like, I'm not going to fucking, dude, who's telling you that? Who signed you up to that model? My model that I'm looking at for you guys is that every step along the way should be scalable and more profitable, and that more profit pays for more freedom, and it should keep. Now, you might have there might be a depression, a recession. So do you have to lay off some guys? Yes, I never said that you don't have to adjust your business based upon market conditions.
Yeah.
Of course, but you should always be profitable.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted so that the audience is listening, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So,
I think what I should have clarified more is if you don't have the policies, procedures, and the systems in place to manage that growth, is where you will go awry.
Actually, so on that point, you will go exponentially go awry. Exponentially, right? If you lose 10 points on $1 million versus buddy losing 10 points on $10,000, the guy that lost 10 points on $1 million, you're in trouble. Like, hello, bankruptcy. The other guy's like, I need to get a loan from somebody. Right?
Exactly.
So anybody listening in, okay, and Jen, I want to hear your points on this, but anybody listening in, I don't give a shit what kind of business you are. You can see I get passionate on this stuff. I don't care how big you are. I don't care what the books are telling you. And if you don't like what you're hearing, this is where I go get off the podcast then. Mm-hmm. You need to be freaking profitable. And you need to be profitable at each one of those stages. And many contractors that come to Profit Contractors, the first thing that I'll tell them or the team will tell them is like, yeah, you need to shut this division down. What? Yeah, so you got 50 guys? Yeah, you're going to have to shut that division down unless we can get enough work for those 15 guys we're going to lay off in that department. Unless you can put them into this other department, you need to let them go. Why? Because that work that you do there is not profitable, dude. Yeah. You don't make any money, and the clients that you're going after are not willing to pay you. So, and they're like, yeah, but that means my sales is going to go down. Yes, but your profits are going to go up. Oh, but everybody told me that I need more sales. No, you need more profits. Mm-hmm. What do you say to that, Jen?
Yep.
you ever experienced that, Jen?
Not as much here. When we first arrived at Profit for Contractors, we actually were doing really well. We met the mark for profit. Actually, we had 32% net profit.
That's
just like on our,
wicked.
yeah, just like upfront on our initial evaluation with Bob, we just happened to have good cash flow, and we had just come off of a big job, and we don't have a lot of overhead, or we didn't then, less machines, not a lot of employees, so really minimal debt compared to the cash flow that we have, and we don't generally, knock on wood, have problems getting paid either, so our cash flow is good. So not as much. I feel like sometimes here the kind of good old boy system takes over, and there are quite a few contractors here that are second or third generation, and so they kind of have peed on the border, if you will, and so having a price increase or a difference in services, or the way that we're going to do things, the way that we give a proposal, the cost, sometimes that detours business from us. Like you said, people don't want to pay because they're used to this guy over here who charges $20 an hour less. And so what we've really had to work on is, well, he might charge $20 an hour less, but we have brand new equipment. We have 10-member team that has more than 100 years worth of experience. We're timely, we're efficient. Here's the differences between us. So if you want to pay $20 an hour less, that's fine. And in 4 months, when your job is still not done, then you can call us back, is basically how we've left some of them. Or we end up back on jobs that, they initially declined because our price was too much. They got some Joe Blow whoever guy, and their shit's going to fall down. So now they're going to do a do-over, and they're like, we should have just went here first.
Totally. Well, look at the story that you said. Even when they go to the bigger boys, Kyle, I'm going to move on from this point after I make this point.
You're good.
Okay? No. And I get what you're saying, dude. Okay, I'm not bashing you. I'm just saying. Here's a prime example, right? Those bigger corporate boys. It was those guys, right, that had their guys not show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're bigger. No, just because people are bigger, they think, oh, I'm bigger, I don't need this stuff. No, people showing up, whether it's 5 people, 50 people, I don't care how big. The reality is that everybody listening in, if you are not able to deliver, I'll say this and write her down. If you're not able to deliver a good service consistently, notice I didn't say excellent service. Psychologically, guys, everybody listening in, if somebody provides a good, consistent, even if somebody provides just a little bit above average service, okay, consistently, people will come back to that, okay? If somebody provides an excellent service and then provides a shitty service, they will not come back to that. You guys, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a fact.
Well, that is what we have a problem with here, contractors specifically, particularly if you don't happen to be one or know them, is that nobody will answer their phone. So you have a water leak and it's flooding your basement. The plumber will be here in 3 months, maybe, if you're lucky. If you can get that guy to answer the phone, he sure as fuck is not going to show up on time, or maybe not even in the same week that he said he's going to come, totally. Let alone do anything helpful. So that's something that we have really pressed. We will always answer the phone. We will always show up on time. And we have this, bar set for quality that, if it's not to this bar, we will fix it. So little by little, we're invading.
It's huge. It's huge. Now, there's also something else that I'm sure you do. Saying no. Not committing under the pressure of I just got to say yes to everything. I got to say yes to everything. It's no, sorry, ma'am, or sir, or whatever. Or Mr. Company or whatever, Mr. Company, we can't do this job right now. Oh, but, no. It's a no, because we know that if we say yes to it, we're not going to be able to deliver.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying with that?
It's a fact. I've got, right now we've got four foundations that are supposed to be in, and we're supposed to start framing houses this month. One of them that's supposed to be started the 15th, next week. and the
Yep.
foundation hasn't even been. They haven't even excavated it yet, and they haven't even excavated it yet, and we're just a sub to frame it, and there's still no concrete. I'm like,
Oh man.
what do you like?
Exactly.
You want it on the schedule on this day, and I told you I'm going to be there on this day.
Right.
When I show up and there's nothing there on this day, not my fault.
That's
What do
it.
you
And
want
guess what?
to do?
At the end of it, there's a client. There's somebody at the end of it that's waiting to have a house to move into, and it's this negative domino effect. So let's just, a couple of key things I want to make sure we touch on. You guys, I always like to go under the hood and just we don't have to go crazy specific, just so that when people are listening in, they know what we're talking about and some of the things we covered off. One thing that you guys have done, okay, when you came to Profit Contractors is you better understood what structure was. You better understood what the importance is of policies and procedures. Instead of going, I don't need that, you guys said, no, we need to systemize our business, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right, okay. So you guys put systems in place, okay? Massive impact, correct?
Correct.
Right. What would you say is the biggest impact in putting policies, procedures, and systems in place? Jen and Kyle.
Better control and better oversight of the entire company as a whole.
Efficiency would be the word I picked.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned, Jen, or I forget who had mentioned this to Stephanie. You said when you guys started tracking your jobs, and using the clock-in system, you said that there was a lot of jobs where you met the marker, where you made money, but there was a few where you guys lost your ass on, right?
Yeah, we had one particular roofing job that we bid it for 200 hours, maybe, labor hours. And by the time it was said and done, it was more like 600 hours that we paid out. So yeah, it was $8,000, some craziness that we went over in labor that we would have never known if we didn't start tracking it.
Well, and that was when we back costed that job. We didn't have the systems in place, and I got a wild hair, and I was like, well, let's back cost a couple of these jobs just to see where we're at. And it was an eye-opener for sure. And honestly, we would have never even done it. We would have just moved forward from that job if it hadn't have been for having the systems in place and being able to do that.
So everybody listening in, okay? Tell me if this resonates with you too, okay? The infamous question that I've heard 1,000 times, okay? So one of the infamous questions I get from contractors. Andrew? Yeah? I don't know what the fuck happened. Why? What's going on? I don't know. Where did all my profits go? I go, what do you mean? Well, I did all this work. I did all the sales. It's not adding up. I sat down. And then the next level. I go, okay, all right. Do you do any tracking? No, I don't. I said, okay, well, there's one of the problems. Then there's the next level, which is I talked to my accountant. Oh, well, then he must have all the answers then for you. The person goes, no. What do you mean? Well, he said I made money as a whole over here. I lost money as a whole over here, but he can't pinpoint exactly which jobs where the money went. And I'm like, oh, so we still don't know where the money went. I'm like, and you never will. Unless you, what?
Job cost.
Yes, guys. So Kyle, coming back to the, one of the original things of this conversation where, I get it. All of you tradies listening in, I'm one of you guys. Kyle is one of you guys. And Jen, I'm not trying to put you aside, but I'm talking about the guys that we don't like doing spreadsheets. We don't. That's not in our DNA. We don't like doing that kind of stuff. But hopefully what you're getting out of this podcast is that you realize that to be a business owner, you have to do the principles. And that's going to include things that you like to do, and it's going to include whether you do it or somebody else does it, or you tag team it, or you involve your team. Like Jen, you said, hey guys, now you're going to clock in. Now you're going to do this. Now you're going to do this. You either have, and you're like, oh my God, what happens if my guys leaves? Or it's like, if your guys, like everybody listening, if your guys, Jen said it. What happens if they're not willing to follow the system, Jen?
Bye-bye. Have a nice day. Kick rocks.
Oh, but shit. Oh my God, it's so hard to find somebody. So Jen, you should keep this guy on. He's not willing to fill in the paperwork. What do you say to that, Jen?
Yeah. We did try that once. It's a waste of time.
Why?
And a lot of money. Because it fucks up your system and it screws up the culture of your company.
And if you don't do paperwork, you don't make money.
Oh
you
my
got
God.
to do the paperwork to make money.
Right. Paper creates paper. I mean, now it's digital, but,
Also, an amendment to your, tradesmen who won't do spreadsheets. I think there is one guy, Jay Carter, who's about spreadsheets. He's given me lots of spreadsheets created by Jay Carter. Excellence. Yeah.
I know that man. I know that man very, very well.
Does he have a lady secretary that makes him his spreadsheets?
So Jay Carter was a client of Profit for Contractors. I know a guy that didn't like spreadsheets.
Aha.
But when you realize how much money you can make out of a spreadsheet, Jay's very driven by profits.
Yeah.
He went, wait a second. You're telling me that if yeah, dude. You mean I can take my $10 million business, bring it down to $8 million, and I can make an extra $250,000 in my pocket? Yeah. Motherfucker. What? Well, that's what the spreadsheet shows.
Yep.
Well, I thought you didn't like using spreadsheets. I love them now.
I use the cost sheet every day. There's times when I have to call her and go, I don't know what I just did. I fucked something up, though. Can you fix it?
By the way,
I need more
Kyle,
lines. I don't know how to add lines.
Yeah.
Guys, ready? A lot of people listening in, and everybody listening in, do not feel stupid what I'm about to say. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Some people have no clue what you mean by a cost sheet. I mean, did you have a cost sheet before? You got a cost sheet from Jay and the team? No. But so just let people know, what does this allow you to see that you weren't able to see before, Kyle? And Jen.
It allows you to calculate your overhead, calculate your profit, actually be able to track your labor hours, and your material costs and your quantities of your material.
And then compare them. Your actual versus your predicted.
Oh, but guys, what happens if your expenses go up, like your overhead and stuff? Does it actually take that into account? Survey says.
Yes.
People are listening going, what? Yeah, man. Like, just a second. Guys, material costs. I know some people are like, Andrew, your sarcasm is humorous. Sometimes it's not humorous. I'm like, hey, man, it is what it is, right? It's my podcast. So here we go. Price increases. COVID. I'm going to tell you right now, all of you guys listening in, if you did not know when Kyle said what a cost sheet is, when I went through, when I was going with my hands, I think we hit 8 things, Jen. Okay, Jen was like, ding, 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 ding. 8 things, guys. Okay, and that's like, Jen's just getting warmed up. Okay, we're not going to get into the fucking more, but 8 things. Okay, you ready? If you guys didn't know what Kyle was fucking talking about, I'm going to tell you right now, you've been losing your shirt. Why? Because if your pricing has not been getting adjusted and you have not been tracking your price increases, and anybody listening in that's in North America, I hate to tell you, whether it's lumber, fucking anything to do with steel, if you have not been using a cost sheet, guess what? It's been costing you. What do you say, Jen?
Yeah, true. We actually just had that very conversation last night. We had our 2 kind of supervisor guys, and we were talking about concrete and what we had been billing concrete versus what we have this receipt for, or what's coming. And it's like, what, $40 a yard difference?
So normally all of our vendors,
like
concrete vendors, they contact us and let us know when price increases happen. Normally they happen every year on February 1st. They increased their price by $40 overnight and didn't tell anybody until I got a receipt. And I went, that's not the price this job was bid at. And why is this price different from 3 days ago?
That's illegal, by the way. But anyways, go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, we have material cost increase clauses in every proposal because of it. So
guys, everybody listening in on this,
cover it.
Like Jen and Kyle, let's just face the reality, okay? Even if you, and this is where people get hung up, okay? Jen, were you going to say something? Sorry, I sometimes interrupt. I don't. Hopefully, okay. Here's one of the catches. Some of the people that lose out the most, okay, are the people that are actually profitable. And you're like, what? Yeah. So if your business is profitable and you think I'm doing it right, I don't need any of this stuff, and you're not doing any of the stuff that we're talking about, you're lucky. Okay? And you've got some wisdom. Okay? I'm going to give it to you. You've got there's a little bit of luck, there's a little bit of wisdom, but guess what? It's guesstimating. I hate to tell you. Okay? So here's the golden rule. Somebody says to me, I'll just give the answer just for sake of time. Andrew, how often should I adjust my pricing? And Andrew would respond, every time that you're supposed to. What? Well, so when your price increases, you increase it. So you mean if it increased next week and the week after, then I'd increase it? What did I just say? Yes. Yeah, but I can't do that. Oh, well then I guess you can't be profitable.
Well, then you should just also give away your money.
Oh my God, Jen, great point. Like, tell us about this wording, your money, okay? Because sometimes I think people listening in, they don't take this shit seriously. Like, it's your money, it's your kids' money, it's money on the table. Like, tell me about that. Like, your money. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, we're in a business. This is like going shopping at the grocery store. So, if you pay $12 for apples, as the vendor, you don't sell them for $4, you sell them for $13. Right. Otherwise, your store goes bankrupt. It's the same difference. So if you're not going to follow suit with your vendor pricing, then you might as well also mail your money in or, hammer it to the window when you're done because you just gave away your profit. You gave away your livelihood. Your store is going to go bankrupt.
Totally. And everybody listening in, okay, so that $8,000, can I use that as an example?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very unfortunate example.
Yes. Well, let's see how unfortunate it is. Okay. Now, it's not going to use your exact numbers just so that everybody can follow. Okay. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. Okay. You tell me, Kyle and Jen, if I'm off in La La Land. Okay. I'm serious. Tell me, call bullshit on the fucking coach here. I'm deadly serious. Okay. So here we go. It's simple math. And by the way, when I say simple math, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be hard for you. You're like, what? I used to fucking hate it when a teacher would say to me, this is really simple, Andrew. I'd be like, can you explain that? I still don't get it. Oh my God, what are you, stupid, man? This is so easy. And I remember I'd snap. Yes, I know, go figure, right? I get sent down, I'd get kicked out all the time. And because I would be, I don't know, I guess I got this from my dad a bit, okay? And I, need to control my temper and what have you. But long story short, I'd be like, you just said it's simple? Guy'd be like, yeah, of course it's fucking simple for you. You've been teaching the same goddamn subject, dude, for the last 6 fucking years. I hope it's simple for you. If it's not simple for you, then there's a serious problem. None of us have seen this before. So This simple thing is complicated. So just take that into context, okay? Everybody listening in? What I mean by simple is that you can definitely learn this, okay? It's not a complex thing to learn. It's something you have to learn. Okay, so just follow me, guys. If you need to pause the podcast, go, where's Andrew coming up with this math? You can send a question to us or any clarification. We're good to go. So here's the $8,000. Okay, let's do this. Say your net profit is 10%. Okay, that means everybody listening in, your bottom line profit is 10%. So if you lost $8,000, I'm just going to put this into perspective. Everybody, you'd have to do $80,000 worth of work to pay for the $8,000 so that you get 0 on the scoreboard. Like what? Yeah, $80,000 of coordinating, ordering material, getting the material, $80,000. Start, finish, invoice, change orders, customer complaints, fucking blah, 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 $80,000. Whatever time period that would be for you guys to make $80,000, okay? Picture all that time and all those people, however, it could be 1, be 2, maybe 5 guys, I don't know how many, to make $80,000, depending upon the type of trade, right, Kyle? Because different trades require different people, okay? But it's $80,000, okay? And at the end of it, you get nothing. Oh, by the way, you had to be profitable on that job by at least 10% net to pay for the $8,000.
And nothing
$80,000.
And nothing could have
What?
happened or went wrong.
Yeah, that's Kyle. So Kyle, just pick one job with how long would it take 2 guys to generate 80 grand worth of work for you?
Oh, fuck. 2 months, 3
Yeah,
months.
2-3 months.
A long time.
So everybody listening in, 2 to 3 months, 2 people with Kyle and Jen, okay, if we're lucky. So let's be conservative and just say 2 months. Let's say they're rock stars. They're the Gretzkys. I like Gretzky. So they're the Gretzkys of the trade. They're the best of the best of the best. They don't drop a fucking thing. They do it exactly as quoted. 2 months of that talent gone.
At least.
So, and I know that's not what your profits were, but I tell you right now, I know based upon some of your numbers that would equate to 3 weeks of working for nothing. Mm-hmm. Right? So guys, when you're listening in on this and you're wondering man, if some of the stuff resonates with you, if this is in your head, I can never get ahead. It doesn't matter if I do more sales. Actually, more sales, I sometimes have even less money. Or I don't know where my money's going. Or none of this is making sense. Where do I start? Then hopefully listening in on this, you guys are going to get a bit of a gauge that there is not just hope, but there is a better way to do things. Right, Jen?
Yeah. We were in that, lucky category. Kyle does have some wisdom, and he's really good at what he does, generally, bidding and, whatever. And so we were definitely in that got lucky with a little wisdom category, but it was definitely up for guessing or, not guessing or no structure whatsoever.
So we're going to wrap this thing up in about 5-10. Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want you guys have worked with Rick, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just picking Rick. Let's say Rick and Jay for an example. Okay, so somebody, and I've never covered this one before. Okay, so let's see where. Well, honestly, I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know. Let's see. Hopefully it helps people. Okay. Explain to somebody what it's like working with a Rick and Jay from a coaching perspective, because there's people that are listening in on this that they've never had a coach, right? They have no clue. You keep saying coaches. You say Rick, you say Jay, you say Bob, you say who the fuck? What do these people do? Can you guys just tell me from your perspective what's your experience been with it, and what is it like?
They help you implement your systems and policies and procedures in a productive manner and help make it clear, and also help you adapt the systems and policies into whatever trade business you're in. And also answer a lot of important questions that even most people have answers to.
That's what I was going to say. It's more localized, like focal. So you can make an appointment with Bob or Shauna and say, I want to go over my numbers. I don't know how to calculate this, or I don't know how to find that. Or in my case, I'm a paramedic nurse gone accountant. So, our chart of accounts was a little bit off. Hey, these things need to be up there and these things need to go over there. So that's, instead of paying a CPA to rearrange your chart of accounts, Shauna will take half an hour and get it straight with you. Or you go to Jay and say, hey, we need some incentive. Do you have any ideas for our employees? And he says, I have this great bonus program. And here's, he'll spend however long it takes to go through it with you and help you to implement it. Rick is about systems and processes. So something that was a vast improvement for us was, you have to use a tracker, or for Kyle's case, put things on a calendar. Rick is structure and organization and how to implement it and why is it important. That was something for us. Neither of us, Kyle thrives on structure, and I, just kind of am chaotic, but like to get I'm a doer. I'm task oriented, but don't necessarily write it down. And so we were having a problem with that. I have these tasks that I'll get done, but we don't always communicate them. We don't have a central place that we can both see. And So Rick was really, he kept us in our first like level class, really rode us until we did the structure things that we were supposed to do, write them down on paper, do them how I said because I said so, and I will not let you off. And that something that we, kind of still right now have to make a real big effort to do because both of us are like, and as soon as we let that lax a little, it shows. Every time it shows. And, then we'll show up at a meeting or a coaching session and Rick will be like, let me see your calendar.
And you're like, shit.
Or like, did you watch those 5 videos that I told you? Or let me see your tracker or whatever it is, Coaches are wealth of knowledge, but they're also useful for accountability. You can learn all the things, but if you don't put them into use effectively, then it doesn't matter to have the knowledge. Kind of, like your MBA guy who's got a master's degree, you have the knowledge, but if you don't put it into process on your hands,
it's so true. It's so true.
It doesn't matter.
Well,
and
it's so true. It's something that it's somebody you're investing into a company that is investing into you.
Yes.
They're able to do things and push you in ways that if she pushed me in that way, I'd be like, go piss off. I don't give a fuck. And it's in our dynamic as husband and wife and business owners, it's nice to have an outside source go, hey, wake up, dipshit. You need to do this now.
Hey,
not yesterday, today.
Hey, use your cost sheet, Kyle. Hey, Kyle, fill that spreadsheet out, would you? Oh, my God. No, it's true, though, okay? Like, it's true.
It's beneficial.
It's true.
And it works well. I mean...
Yeah. You know what? I think that you guys do such a great job in answering these questions. So, like, did you know I was going to ask that question?
No.
Okay. So, if you're listening in and that doesn't resonate with you, I'm going to say this. It doesn't mean that you're not coachable. It just means that you're going to need to take a little bit of time on realizing that, and it's one of the hardest things. Is we, especially tradespeople, okay? I don't know if you guys knew this, but I coached a lot of other businesses, okay? When I was first getting into this, I was coaching lawyers and accountants and all the rest of it, right? Somehow me and them on the coaching front didn't get along so well, okay? When I was making people money and they were looking at me because I wasn't wearing a freaking suit and tie, I was like, yeah, dude, you got the wrong guy. Like, bye, right? But tradespeople, one of the things about tradespeople is that I'm just going to say this is like we're just real people, man. Like I think we're on the face of the planet. We're like one of the most real people out there because we're working with our hands. We're out there in the communities. We're not behind a screen, okay? We're actually out there dealing with people, right? Like, and their needs and the consequences of like that foundation not getting poured. Like people's lives are potentially being incredibly affected. And at the end of the day, you're going to put, we, as tradespeople, we sometimes get pressure because, people are like, man, you got to get this thing framed because this is part of my, like, we're affecting people's lives. Okay. Anyways, where am I going with this? The reality at the end of the day is that one of the traits that goes with this is that tradespeople tend to be very good at doing stuff in their heads, like as the technician, as the tradie, right, Kyle?
Mm-hmm.
Right. We take pride in that. And one of the biggest challenges for tradespeople is asking for help.
That's fact.
And yeah, that's fact. So tell me, how does that resonate with you?
I'm more apt to ask for help and get other people's opinions because I have the knowledge that I don't know everything. And in my own world, it's easier just to ask and get an answer and prove my point that I don't know everything. And it trickles down to all of my guys, which makes it more beneficial for us because when they do have a question, they don't spend 3, 4, 5 hours trying to figure it out on their own. They can pick up a phone and make a phone call to anybody in the entire company and ask the same question. And it's It's more cost effective, it's beneficial, and it's productive, not a waste of time.
Jen, how important is the help mindset when it comes to culture?
I think it's about being humble. You know, are you a big man and you have a big ego, or are you a big man who's skilled, who can be humble and say, I want to have this great product. I want this to be, you know, effectively finished. I want to stay in the boundaries, but I don't know what to do. So if we have a culture that says just call and ask, we have an engineer, we have a Kyle, we have your supervisor, we have whoever, you know, call and ask. So that's the same thing that I think about coaches is, you know, it's about being humble and not prideful. And, you know, you had take somebody like Jay. Jay has helped us a lot with bonuses and structure and, you know, that kind of thing. And Jay's, like you said, you know, he's just a real guy. But it's easier, in my opinion, to look at Jay, and he's got a very fruitful, profitable, well-established business. So instead of trying to do our own thing and learning the hard way, the hardest way possible probably, because we don't have the knowledge, you just go and say, Jay, what do you do for incentives for your guys, and does it work? And he'll be like, dude, I tried these 27 things, and here's the one. On the draft he sends you, it's like 28.6, revised a whole shit ton of times, but this is the one that works, and it's been working for 3 years. So instead of having to go through all the J revisions, we just get the final product that, you know, is the fruit of his labor. But it's about being humble enough to be like, hey man, you're really successful. What do you do? Can we copy? Or can we implement something similar? Can you give us some tips? That is much more fruitful, much more effective, and it's about being humble. Humble to be successful.
Yes, and you know, I talk about the Robin Hood. Okay, I think it's okay to be Robin Hood so long as you ethically steal. People are like, what? Yes, sure. You can ethically steal. Okay, you call it copy. I'm just saying you can ethically steal. Right? You're stealing time. You're stealing energy. You're stealing stress. You're stealing in a way, or getting. Maybe there's a better word, but you're taking that something, and there's no fucking way around it, that somebody's put years and years and years and years into, right? Like that 75-page policy manual that you guys have access to with job descriptions, all the rest of that stuff. That took me 10 fucking years to make. 10 years. Like, and I'm not saying it took 10 years every day, but over 10 years of stress and like losing people and, you know, miscommunicating and jobs go, just that one freaking document, right? Or if it's Jay's job cause, or it's, you know, the reality is that, Jen, you said it, it's the hardest, longest, most painful, most risky way is by doing it on your own, right?
Well, particularly if there's another choice. There's a choice that's efficient and proven to work, then you should choose that.
Totally. So let's wrap this up. So if you know, there's people listening in, you guys have done a lot of great things. You know, you're at the really, you know, wrapping this up. You're still on the journey. You know, there's so much more potential for you guys, and a lot of things that you know that you haven't worked on that Prof for Contractors has, and all the rest of that kind of stuff. So that's all fine and dandy. But what would you say to somebody listening in, Jen, that's struggling with any of the things that we covered off today? What would your advice be to them?
To show up. Watch the videos and listen, and then choose to do the work. In my opinion, it's about here we're back to being humble, you know, it's about a choice. I actually have a coffee mug that says get shit done. So if you want to have something great, then you have to do the work. And if you're in a place where you don't know what the work is to do, this is a place that can teach you the steps, but you have to be willing to do them. So you have to show up and do the work. You have to implement the processes. You have to watch the videos. You have to make your guys use a time clock. You have to make your husband use a cost sheet, you know, and then you also have to be accountable personally, you know, so just because Kyle has to do this or that doesn't get me off for free. I also have to pull my weight too. Sometimes that's yelling at a guy who didn't clock in, or that's, you know, getting the proper paperwork, or getting an SBA loan so we can get a new whatever. It's show up and do the work. And and be humble about the advice that you're given, because it's proven. It's not, like we're not in an experimental test.
That's
we're
right.
we're in a group of people who, is being led. Like the leadership in this group is proven, and they're invested, and they, have a lot of care and time. And so it's insulting to them if you show up and you're rude and you don't do the work. Just don't bother to come. But if you do show up and do the work, it will be exponentially fruitful for you. So that's my advice. Bring the get shit done mug and show up to do the work.
Well, and even like the weekly coaching meetings, it can be a pain in your ass royally in the middle of the day or whatever. But you can sit through one, and I sit through all of them in my truck, driving down the road, listening and talking. And still going job to job. There's times that I mute it and I have to answer a phone call. I still have to work, still have to make money. But even just paying attention and listening to it in the background, there's things that people come up with and cue in, and I actually drop what I'm doing and pay attention to it and put input into it. It's a community that has a very diverse background in every magnitude that you can think of. And in that aspect, it's awesome. There's a guy in Telluride, I think his name's Pat.
Yep.
Patrick.
Yep.
He's in Telluride, which is like 4 hours away from us. And he's running his company, and he's already met his profit margins for the year already. Mm-hmm. And so listening to him and watching what he does, it's like, holy shit. All right. I'm not at the same level as him yet, but we're working towards that level.
I love it, man. So
it's
good.
Cool. It's energizing. It's every time you doubt yourself and you listen to one, your doubt goes away and your mind's refreshed and you're back onto a good path. And I've caught myself where I didn't listen to 2 or 3 meetings in a row. And I'm like, man, I really just feel in the dumps, and I need to go be around positive people in our atmosphere. And it's the perfect place to do that.
Well, guys, thank you so much. We'll make sure you guys stick around so we get the upload done. With that being said, it's a pleasure having you guys as part of this community. It really is a community. It really is a community of non-judgmental people, all living different lives, all, contractors, all, after very similar things and having a successful business and getting their profits to pay for their freedom. And you guys are on your way. You've got a better business, and really the, get shit done mug is fucking that's honest. Jen, I'm not joking. That is what the title of this is going to be. It's the get shit done mug, right? Right? Isn't it right? Get her done, man. But we're going to say get shit done, right? So thanks, guys. Stick around so it uploads. But thank you very much. If anybody has any questions, I know there's going to be some links down below. Join the Contractor Tips group. That's a good starting point. It's a free group. There's almost 10,000 people in there now of contractors. And then for those of you that want to take it to the next level and see if I'll be honest, if you're worthy enough to become a champion CEO. It really is being worthy enough, because if you're not willing to do the work, I won't let people in this community, my team won't, that's not willing to do the work, because then you're going to pull everybody else down. So the Get Shit Done mug, we should get one and send it out to every freaking client, right? That's it. So thank you very much, guys. We'll catch you on the flip. I'll hit the stop here. You guys stick around, and thanks, guys. Cheers. Hey, Rockstar, I hope that you enjoyed that one. If you did like this podcast, leave a review, leave a comment. This will help us a lot to keep you bringing the gold, to keep allowing you to delegate, dominate, and deliver, so you can take your contracting business to the next level. Now, make sure you subscribe, get the latest teachings and insights, and we will see you back here for another No Bullshit podcast. No, seriously, no bullshit.